Hey Tim, we're up to 5F, which is solving quadratic equations using factorisation. I think earlier in the year you were already factorising quadratic equations, but you didn't necessarily solve them. So you didn't necessarily find out what x equals. So we're going to be adding one extra step compared to what you were doing earlier in the year. If you don't remember how to factorise, that's okay because I'm going to show you now. Anyway, so some of the main kind of ideas we need to look at here are pointed up the top. So we need to look for common factors that we can take out. So there'll be a few examples of doing that in a second. And you'll also find that quadratic equations will often have two answers. Most of the time they will. Okay, so let's have a look at these first few. Now, you'll notice that they all say equals 0 or equals something. Okay, the thing that we're aiming to do is find out what x equals, right? That's what solving means. So we're solving for x here. Let's look at the first one. So I can see we've got two terms. Remember, we're trying to look for common factors, as it says up the top there. So I can see in this term and this term, x is common to both. So I can actually take x out as a factor. And then that's going to give me x plus 4. And that equals 0. Now what you'll notice is that if you expand this, it should then become that. Okay, and if it doesn't, we've factorised wrong. Okay, so we took x out as a factor there. Now, we don't really have to do too much extra to solve this. Something that we're going to do now is something called null factor law, and what that means is if we've got something times something else and the answer is 0, one of them must be equal to 0. Okay, so what you end up doing is you take this and make it equal 0, and you take this and make it equal 0 as well. So let me just put a little NFL here. So remember we're using null factor law. Okay, so x equals 0. And we've also got and x plus 4 equals 0. All right, so we don't need to do too much extra here. We've already got one answer, which is x equals 0. But with this one, we need to make x the subject. So let's move that 4 away. So it's going to be x equals negative 4. And there's our two answers. Okay, so firstly, we factorized, and then we solved for x by using that null factor law. Okay, now let's have a go at the next one. We're going to do the same thing. So step 1, look for common factors. I can see that 2 is common to both of them, but x is as well. So we can take out 2x. Alright, so if I've got 2x out there and I want to get to 2x squared, I need to times that by x. If I've got 2x and I'm trying to get to minus 6x, I need to times that by minus 3. Now again, if we expand this one out, it should become that. And it will if we do that. Alright, so we need to take this first bit, make it equal 0. Take the second bit, make it equal 0. And we're going to find that x, to solve this for x, we need to divide by 2. But 0 divided by 2 is 0, so x equals 0. That's one of our answers. And x equals 3 is also one of our answers. And we're done. We've solved there. So we factorized here, and then we solved with this bit. Let's get down to this next one, the third one. Again, we're trying to solve for x. Now, we don't really need to find anything common here. All we're really trying to do is get x by itself. So I want this 4 to go away. So if I divide by 4 on this side, it'll go away. If I divide by 4 on that side as well, that'll give me x squared equals 25. Cool. Now, I don't want x squared. I want to have x equals. So what's the opposite to squared? Hopefully we know what square root. So if I square root this side, that's just going to give me x. And if I square root this side, it's going to give me 5. But it's not just 5. It's plus 5 and minus 5. Anytime you square root anything, you're going to have a positive and a negative answer. So there's actually two answers here as well. Okay. I'll probably talk more about this sort of stuff a little bit later with the square roots. Let's keep moving down. Right, now, the quadratics that we were factorizing before, they didn't really come in this sort of general form here, or they did, except we didn't really have C. We only had A and B. So what you'll see is A is just whatever number's at the front of x squared, the coefficient of x squared. B is the coefficient of x, and C is whatever your constant or your normal number is at the end. So if we look at this one, our A would just be 1, because it's 1 times x squared. Our B would be 5, and our C would be 6. Again, if we look at this one, our A is 2, our B is minus 4, and our C is minus 16. Now to factorize these ones, it's slightly different, or we can do it in a different way. We can factorize them when they're in this form by finding the factors of A times C that add to make B. So we need to do A times C and those factors that add to make B. So what I like to do is I'll write down what A times C is up the top. So 1 times 6 is 6. So I've times those two things together and I've got 6. I need the factors of 6 that add to make 5. Now 1 times 6, they're factors of 6, but they add to make 7, so that's not what we want. 2 times 3, they make 6, so they're factors of 6. 2 plus 3 is 5, so that's what we're after. Okay, so that means I've got x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 6 equals 0. What I actually did then was split this middle term. So can you see that 5x is the same as 2x plus 3x? So this line here and that line there are exactly the same thing. We just split that middle term. What we do now is something called factorizing by grouping. So what I'm going to do is focus on these two alone and then focus on these two by themselves as well. So let me just put a little thing over here just so we can see. Right, now what I'm doing now is the same as what we did before. I want to look at these two terms and see what's common to both. So hopefully we can see that x is common to both. So that means x would go in there and 2 is there. So we've kind of factorized this bit in the blue. But I want to do the same over here. So 3 is common to both. So plus 3, x plus 2. Now hopefully you can see that we've got x plus 2 here and we've got x plus 2 here. They have to be the same. If they're not the same, you made some sort of mistake. Right, now the next step. See this x here and this 3 here, or whatever's here and whatever's here, they're going to go into brackets as well. So it's going to be x plus 3 and x plus 2, and all of that equals 0. This is really similar to what we had before. Remember null factor law, when we have these two things times together, and it equals 0, one of them already has to be 0. So we have x plus 3, and that equals 0. And we have x plus 2, and that equals 0 as well. So let's solve for x here. So this one, x is going to be minus 3, and over here, x is going to be minus 2. There's our two answers. We're done. So that was a little bit harder. So we're going to practice a little bit more with these next couple, but we're using the same sort of steps. All right, now this one here, I want to do my factors of a times b that add to make a times c that add to make b, but I can already see that we've got something common already. So 2 goes into here, 2 goes into here, and it goes into here. So I think we can already take 2 out as a factor. So if I take a 2 out, that's going to give us 2x squared minus 2x minus 8, and that all equals 0. Okay, so hopefully you can see that yeah, I've taken that 2 out as a factor. Now I'm going to get you to ignore what's going on here. We only need to focus on this bit. This is what we're trying to factorize. Okay, so we need the factors of a times c. So 1 times minus 8 is minus 8. We need the factors of minus 8 that add to make minus 2. Okay, so 1 and minus 8, they're factors of it. But if we add those, it gives us minus 7. That's not what we want. How about minus 4 and plus 2? They're factors of minus 8. And if we put minus 4 and plus 2 together, that gives us minus 2. So that means we can have x squared, and they were plus 2x minus 4x minus 8. See how I've split that middle term again? If we add those two together, it gives us that. Now let's focus on grouping. So I've split that middle term. Let's factorize by grouping. There we go, so there's our two groups. Okay, so let's leave this 2 out there, we can ignore that. I'm going to use square brackets here because I don't want to get confused with the kind of curvy brackets that I'm going to use as well. So x is common to both, so I can take x out. There we go, we factorise this bit. Now over here, what's common to both? Minus 4. That gives us x plus 2. Now, do we notice that these two in the brackets are the same? That's good, that's what we want. So let's bring that 2 back in. Now we're going to have one set of brackets with x minus 4. Another set of brackets with x plus 2. That all equals 0. So we're factorised. Awesome. We just need to make sure we can solve now. So this whole thing is going to equal 0, and this whole thing is going to equal 0 as well. You don't need to worry about the 2. So we have x minus 4 equals 0, and x plus 2 equals 0. So x is going to be 4, and x is going to be minus 2. There's our 2 answers. We're done. Very last one. Okay, now I'm going to go back here for a second. We can, like we've done this by like splitting that middle term and grouping. I've put this whole kind of process in here and here. You can do it slightly faster and skip this middle stuff, but for now I just want you to do it like that. In a later lesson I'll show you that you can be a little bit quicker. I just want you guys to be practicing using this method just for now so you can see how it works. Alright, let's do the last one. So we want the factors of a times c that add to make b. So factors of minus 30. Factors of minus 30 that add to make minus 7. Minus 10 times 3 gives us minus 30. Minus 10 plus 3 gives us minus 7. So that's what we're after. Minus 10x plus 3x. There we go, we've split that middle term. Hopefully we can see it's the same thing. And now we want to look at these couple of different groups. Right, common to both of these. 5x, x minus r2. Cool, and over here we've got plus 3, x minus 2. Let's put these two together. 5x plus 3, x minus 2. We're factorised. Awesome, we just need to solve. So 5x plus 3 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. So we've got 5x equals minus 3. So x equals minus 3 on 5. That's one of our answers. And our other answer is x equals 2. Done. Hopefully those help you out with the questions from 5F. If you need a hand, let me know.